Welcome to Vampire Radio!
Hola, hola, hola. You are watching Vampire Radio here on the Monty and the Pharaoh channel. Of course, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Shelly from Kelly. And this is where I normally say I'm joined by the podcast dogs, Minnie the Moocher and Jack Martinez. And I did do that. Here's what freaking happened, people. So when I recorded this episode over the weekend, I pulled a boner. I did. And I accidentally deleted the first two video clips that I had, which was my intro and then my intro with the dogs and then a little extended intro. I'm an idiot. I was like super busy this weekend. I had so many things to do. I was super, super triggered and trying to filter out all my feelings, thoughts, and emotions. So last night when I was editing this episode, that's when I had the files, and like an idiot, I deleted them. I was deleting the different video clips that I had that was just like my test shots for like lighting and things like that. So, yeah, dude. And then that's the other thing too. My camera was on this like weird setting. So it was like super, super dark. So this is going to be a Lucha Vampire Radio episode. You got me today on Monday, and then you're going to get some clips from Saturday and from Sunday. So let's get right into it, shall we? I'm going to Shelly McFly back in time to yesterday. No, the day before yesterday, Saturday. Shelly McFly back to Saturday right now. Now, let me tell you guys something. I was really looking forward to getting together with Kevin today because, hello, today is his freaking birthday. Yeah, that's right. Kevin freaking Thorn joined me on Vampire Radio on his birthday. So let's get right into it, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts. OM to the G. Here we are on a Saturday, and we have an interview with a vampire. Welcome, Kevin freaking Thorn.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is amazing.
First of all, it's your freaking birthday, so happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And
whopping 49. Here we go.
I just can't believe this. I cannot believe you're 49. This is proof you're a vampire because look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, the blood's been good. The blood's been good.
Well, I'd like to think, you've been probably taking care of yourself. So that says a lot, right?
Yeah, no, and especially, we didn't talk about this beforehand. Over the last 8 months, I am 100% sober. I went to WWE's sponsored rehab this summer. Something I'm pretty proud of. I discovered I could not get away from alcohol the way that I needed to get away from it and stuff like that. So this summer I made the call, and another great friend of ours, Shannon Moore, is in charge of, not 100% in charge of the program, but he is a big part of the rehab program with WWE down in Tampa. So I went down to Tampa in May and stayed there till middle of July, and it got much, much better. So, through the course of that and through the course of a lot of things, I really, really figured myself out, figured my life out and stuff. I'm not going to lie, probably this time last year, I was a really fat vampire and stuff because I was boozing, eating, and just not living the way I should. So it's been super great that I, have got that opportunity and really embracing that lifestyle now.
Okay, so I had no idea we were going to talk about that today.
Yeah, just threw you totally off.
Do you mind if we dive deep a little bit into this? Because here's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it is so important to talk about alcohol and how it goes hand in hand in the world of wrestling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that there's a lot of people out there within the business that need to hear these kinds of stories because, long story short as I can make it,
yeah.
I wasn't a drinker until I got into WWE. And it's not because WWE made me.
Oh yeah.
It was just, I always thought like, when I want to be a drinker, I'll be a drinker. And I was always afraid to throw up. I was like Jerry Seinfeld. Like I was proud I didn't throw up for so many years. So I was always scared of throwing up. So I just never partied like that in high school.
Yep.
That's how, if you remember, I used to have a name I went by was Funtime Shelly. The reason why that name existed was because back in the Dizzy brother, my friends would be like, Shelly doesn't drink. She doesn't smoke. And she's always a fun time and we all want to hang out with her. So that's why they're like, it's Funtime Shelly.
Yep.
And so like, I didn't drink or smoke until I was 25.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying I never had booze ever. Here and there I tried, but that's when I was like, oh, I'm scared. I'm losing control. I don't like it.
Yep.
So that was like my college years, and I felt like I was finally ready to get into it.
Yep.
And what I realized is I started to use alcohol in a way to cope with different things.
Yep.
And it took me a really, 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 really long time to understand that. And I think a lot of people don't talk about that. So can you talk about your relationship with alcohol, how it was, that what eventually led you to entering that program?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, a lot like you, I really didn't drink in high school. I didn't drink in college. I kind of started like 23, 24, which was kind of, I mean, when I got signed with WWE, moved up to Louisville. I mean, and I really wasn't a hard drinker by any means, during a lot of that time. I mean, hell, I had multiple guys, come through, stay at my house or stay at the apartment and stuff like that. And I mean, me and Billy Gunn used to go get Arbor Mist of all things. We drink a big bottle of Arbor Mist. That we thought we were cool. Took a couple somos and drank Arbor Mist. That was like us, sitting around laughing and whatever. It wasn't really. I would say, it it wasn't a huge part of my life. It was towards kind of I think tail end of kind of like Kevin Thorn and stuff like that, because I felt like that was the way to get over with the boys, stuff like that, is being the one drinking till whatever time in the morning in the hotel lobby on trips and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of the time you couldn't drink that much because you were doing a show, getting in a car and driving. So it wasn't a lot of, beer cans, stuff like that on the way to shows, but like, European trips, definitely, start drinking. I think for me, my real alcoholism came after WWE, and stuff. And I think it was because I had, I had been taken away from the lights that I love so much, in the chaos of WWE and stuff like that, to where I didn't know what to do because, I mean, I am a 100% dopamine addict. I need the dopamine. I need the rush of about to walk through the curtain, being told you have 10 minutes and you get out there and you have 4.5 and trying to figure it all out. I needed the rush of, travel, the rush of all this stuff, but also too, just the rush of, being a superstar. It was such a life. And then all of a sudden, you kind of go from, all that to, going to the real world. And I probably didn't work the indies as hard as I probably should have, but also too, had a wife, a newborn son, stuff like that, and needed to pay bills. So, started, working, when you go from, a career from 24 to 31 in the WWE, when you go to apply for resumes, it's like, okay, so what did you do? Well, I was a wrestler for, multi-billion-dollar company. Yeah, but what are your skills? I'm like, I don't know. I made people believe I was hurt. Made people believe I was mad. I don't know. And so, that kind of led to me, bartending, running bars, stuff like that. And I think it was just a real, like, not depression. I mean, I guess it was a depression of being, now I'm fucking normal again, and stuff. And here I am, slopping up, somebody's mess, or, cleaning a fucking urinal that somebody just barfed in, doing all this shit and going, God damn it. I was on fucking WrestleMania. I was, on TV, for weeks on end. I was a superstar, and now here I am, in a normal life again. And it just took it was so much getting used to, I think, that it was easier to mask that, because like a lot of guys, I would work the doctor for as many Vicodin I could get. I would do other things, but eventually it just got to a point where you're chasing drugs. And I was really, honestly, I was a very lazy drug addict, because I wasn't about to go, to the hood to go get shit. I wasn't, about this, but I could go to, Kroger, which is a grocery store here, or the liquor store at 8 o'clock in the morning, or, up to 10 o'clock at night. So it was an easy fix, for me to get. And I mean, I probably battled it, man, off and on for 15 years. I mean, I would go in real good spurts. And I mean, if you really look at, pictures in Google or images and stuff, you can tell when I was really a drunk mess and when I was really working hard to stay sober, because I would go in spurts. I mean, I would look really, really good, and then I would look a whole lot like shit, and stuff. And it was because of, drinking and then eating like shit and stuff like that. So those are kind of spurts. I mean, I was always, I guess, very proud, to like, oh, I don't have a problem. I'm just with the boys. And it was my way to get over with people and, friends, family, and everything else is, dude, this guy can drink like a tank, and he's not showing it a lot of time. And really, truly, man, people would be like, oh, you only had one or two. Yeah, but nobody knew about the bottle in the car that I just downed before I came into the restaurant, and stuff. And there's a lot of hidden alcohol, and stuff. And it wore thin on my family. And I think that was the big thing, is when I wasn't present, I was going, I was the perfect family man. I was still going to games. I was still a part of things, but to remember crap the next day, I was terrible at it, because I was literally, a functioning alcoholic. And that's what I really discovered, through rehab and through this, last 8 months and stuff, is, I was really good at hiding the fact that I was a drunk mess. So.
Dude.
Yep.
I can relate to so much of what you're saying, and because here's the thing, especially that functioning part. Like, look, I still drink, but it's different the way I drink now.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's been times where, because here's the thing, I'm a person that I pray before everything. So that includes even when I drink.
Yep.
And there's been times I've even prayed, like before I take the drink, I'm like, God, I know I shouldn't be doing this. I don't know what else to do. So help me, please. Like, I've been there where I'm using it just like you're saying. And I think a lot of people in wrestling experience this, and it's just not talked about. And
yeah. It's hidden. I mean, it's our way to cope, stuff like that. And, and there's a lot of people that don't have problems that can drink and stuff like that. And I call that, gentlemen drinkers, where, they can go out and party hard, that night or whatever. And then they don't touch it for a couple of days. I was counting, at some points I was counting down the minutes to, the store being open, because like I needed that to function the rest of the day.
And I also relate to you. Here's the thing with the pictures. Yep. My whole effing life now, for many, many years, over a decade, is online content.
Yep.
And it's so freaking embarrassing to me when I see stuff out there and I'm like, I know exactly where I was in that moment.
Oh yeah.
And there it is. And it's so funny you say about the Arbor Mist, because that was mine and Francine's thing that we used to do. The Arbor Mist. Freaking Arbor Mist. And it's funny because I graduated from it, because I remember Francine would be like, oh, Arbor Mist. And I'm like, dude, that's mostly sugar. I'd rather have a higher
Oh
alcohol
yeah.
content
Yep. Oh yeah.
than Arbor
Well,
Mist.
yeah, and that's why I'd like switched from beers and seltzers to just straight vodka because I was like, oh, I'm getting bloated off this.
Yeah.
I can't drink as much. I can't get the buzz. So I'd go for, me and Tito's had a great relationship, and I mean, with that, I mean, my job now, real estate and stuff like that, I would plan, I was a perfect planner because I would never do that when I was out with clients and stuff like that. But man, as soon as I was done, I was like, and I got to go get my fix. So, I was the definition of an addict with alcohol. I would time out my days to make sure, where I was at and where I could get that buzz and get that relief. And it was just no way to live.
Okay, this next part I'm going to edit out. First of all, Shannon freaking Moore, I love him so much.
Oh yeah,
He is positive vibes. I always liked him.
Godsend.
He is an awesome person. So shout out to freaking Shannon Moore. He'll probably never see this, but shout out anyways. So talking about the drinking, I have to ask. I know we've talked about this before, but like for some reason, it always seems foggy to me. What happened when you got fired the first time from WWE and you got in that bar fight? Because that's what it was, right? That got you ultimately fired.
Yeah, it was a bar fight. I was slated to go up and beat Mordecai and was about to have the world given to me, I guess. In the eyes of WWE and wrestler. I mean, I had Vince's blessing, had everybody's blessing. It was just and believe it or not, I wasn't drinking that night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't drinking. I didn't, we kind of went out. It was either Maven or Sly's birthday. We had a show in somewhere in Indiana. And it was about an hour away. So we went up there, did the show. I think I wrestled Chris Masters that night. I actually broke his eardrum, I think, that night on accident. Imagine that, me being stiff. We all jumped in the car and booked it back. Katie and our roommate Nicole, were there at the house. Everybody got ready, and then we went out to Blue Martini, Have a Nice Day Cafe, and Bar Louie, because those were all kind of synced together, I guess, and stuff. So we started off at Blue Martini. They, and then kind of made our way to Have a Nice Day Cafe, and then we got down to Bar. I think it's Bar Louie is what it was called, and get down there, the way the bar was, the dance floor was here. There was a sidebar over here, so we were all kind of by the sidebar and stuff. There were a group of guys that were out, and they'd been partying pretty hard beforehand, from what I understood, and stuff. And one of the guys just kept running through us because Maven and Sly are two good-looking dudes, and they are all the ladies are all about those two guys, and they're having a great time. We're all having a great time. And this kid just kept kind of running through us and stuff. And I told Katie I could just see it. Like, I was like, it's just not a good scene. I'm supposed to be flying out on Monday, starting, gonna start Mordecai, gonna start all this stuff. Let's start to wrap it up. So we kind of told Maven and Sly, they were kind of okay with it, whatever else. We all rode together, so we all kind of had to leave together. There was no such thing as Uber back in the day, because I probably would have just got an Uber and been me and Katie and laughed. I guess when I went off to the bathroom, came back, Katie's kind of not in tears, but she's just kind of not real happy, and she's like, I stopped him and told him, hey, stop running through us, whatever, you're just you guys have fun, don't whatever. Well, she's telling me this, and I'm looking over to the side at the kid, and I'm like, in a perfect world, I would have a long time ago, I probably would have gone up and hit him and stuff, without any reaction. I was like, I'm not doing this, I'm not defending you. Everything else, we got to go. And I noticed that he had grabbed a bottle and started walking towards us, and I was like, he's going to hit us. So anybody that's been around me knows I have a kickball size head, and my first reaction was just to headbutt him, to get the bottle out of his head and stuff. And why I did that, I have no idea. It did that, and my kickball size head on a normal man's head was not a good idea. And so it was not good. Blood was everywhere. I was all in white, by the way, because I was trying to live the Mordecai gimmick, trying to look cool and stuff. And I still to this day, I always keep glasses on the top of my head right here. I don't know why, I just do. But, I had these clear glasses on, trying to be cool, but I had them up on top of my head. And when I did that, the glass went into my head. So now I'm crimson mask, look like lack of a better term, I look like a giant tampon. And this kid's on the floor, and everybody around us is like, holy fuck. And I'm like, he should have grabbed the bottle. And then so we walked out, and basically I told the police officers who were out there, because I've helped them out several times. So at least, when they're, taking guys out or everything else like that, try to make sure that they were safe behind their back. Told them, and they're like, well, just go home, just get out of here, go home. And I was like, okay, that seems like a great idea. The police officers were telling me that. And go home, we clean up my head. I wore a bandana to Raw that week when I got flown in, because I still had a gash on the top of my head and stuff. And I didn't want to get stitches, because I knew that means they would have had to cut my hair that I just had stark white. Throughout the course of the day, all of a sudden, Katie had called. She's in tears, and she's like, "The police are here to pick you up. They're filing domestic violence or whatever it was, domestic violence or something like that, and want to charge you." And so, literally, I had to go into the straight into Johnny's office and into Vince's office and tell them that, hey, by the way, I just fucked up. And basically, Vince and them, basically said, hey, give us a minute. We're going to call the lawyer. Our lawyer's there. They called their lawyers there. Of course, their lawyer went in, didn't really smooth it over, but just I could walk in and turn myself in. So, I basically went to court. They didn't press charges on the domestic stuff, because they knew that they could sue the fuck out of me and hopefully make a lot of money. If their lawyer would have really, or our lawyer would have actually told the lawyer what I actually really had in the bank account, I think this probably would have gone away real fast, because I was making jack shit then. They hadn't signed me to a complete deal yet. I was still making, the $1,000 a week developmental deal or whatever I was on, and stuff. So I had no money and stuff, but they made it a civil case instead of a court, or a case for prosecution for violence, basically. So so that went on, and they were basically kind of now it was, oh, he has no money. So then they decided to sue. They were going to try to sue OVW for millions and WWE for millions, because they trained me to be a professional fighter, and that's why I did what I did. And stuff. So got through a couple pay-per-views, all that stuff. Oh, which, by the way, he got all that money, because when they did sue me, they just sent the checks directly to him.
Oh my gosh.
To pay all this off. So that was then. So I think that's the time, looking back at my career and everything else, I ruined my relationship with Vince, to where, even though when they brought me back as Kevin Thorn and stuff like that, for the longest time, Vince did not trust me, because I was the loose cannon that already got in trouble. He's great at what he does. He's a good employee, shows up on time. The boys like him. He has good matches, all this stuff. But can we ever trust him to push him because this could happen again at any moment. Would it have? No, because I learned my lesson that day. And I promise you, I will get hit first, the shit beat out of me, walk out of there and say thank you before I'll ever go through that ever again, because it just wasn't worth it. But it was just an instinct in that, in a blip of 20 seconds that really cost me probably, I mean, who knows what would have happened and where I would have been. I mean, I was slated to wrestle The Undertaker in WrestleMania. I mean, they were about to push me to the fucking moon. And I let them down. And I mean, it was my fault, just young and dumb. I mean, I think I was 31 or no, I was 28, because I was 31 at Kevin Thorn. And just, you look back and you're like, I was just dumb. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, it was a moment in time. It cost me a lot of money. And I definitely learned my lesson.
See, the word on the street generally was always, you got drunk, you got in a bar fight, you got fired.
Yep. Nope. Never. I was not drunk one bit. Didn't even have a drink that night.
I hate that stories going around about you. I hope this can.
Yeah, but you look back at, kind of how I did the rest of my career and stuff like that. I was always known to drink with the boys and drink and everything else. So, you just assume, and like anything, you tell a story and that story goes whatever direction somebody wants to add it to it. And everybody puts a layer of the onion on and there you go. So, but yeah, no, I mean, was not drinking.
This makes sense to me why I liked drinking with you so much, because I feel now, hearing just this part of like the situation, it's like I can't help but think to myself, we were trauma bonded.
Yep.
And through our drinking, we were trauma bonding and just trying to live through whatever we're going through at that time and filtering it however we were. So now it just makes so much sense to me. I just never in a million years thought about it that way. That's really interesting. I so get where you're coming from more now than ever, because something I've been talking about for a couple months now that like blows my mind is the infamous night where I got in a fight with Batista. So first of all, before I give you my take on it, I know you were there. So what's
it was Baltimore, right? Wasn't it
I'm not sure. I don't even know where it was. I don't know what month it was. I don't know.
It was Baltimore.
So tell me your side of the story with Batista and Shelly Martinez.
I honestly still have no clue. Because I'd sort of heard about it and I was like, sounds like her. And everything else and stuff. And I don't think I saw you the rest of the night or whatever throughout that. Okay, so I was at the rate. So Indianapolis 500's in town all the time. I've got some great friends that have one of the most unbelievable suites on the track. And it was the weekend, and I think they were qualifying or something. I was somehow off that weekend or whatever. And I remember I was at the track and I get, the infamous, Johnny Axe, as he was in my phone, call. And I was like, oh fuck, what's going on here? And, I remember Johnny had called, and stuff. And basically it was like, oh yeah, Kevin, there was an altercation and blah, blah, blah. And we decided to let Shelly go. And I'm just like, okay, why? And he's like, well, I'm not going to go into it much. And I was like, yeah, I heard there was something. He goes, yeah, that might have something to do with it. But it was just kind of like real vague. And I was just like, oh, okay. All right. And, don't worry about it. You're just going to go out there by yourself. And I was like, well, that's going to be rotten because, I mean, she's a huge part of part of what I do, but okay. And stuff. And I don't know. I like at that point, I think I was so already, beaten down from whatever happened with, Mordecai stuff, that I was always felt like I was walking on eggshells anyway, and didn't want to ruffle any feathers. So I didn't know what to do but go, I guess I'll just show up on Monday and see what's going on. Kind of thing. So that's probably something I should have apologized to you a long time ago, of not going, hey Johnny, no fucking way, we're not doing this. I need her as much as she needs me. Kind of thing. But I didn't know what was really going on. So and stuff. And I think me and you, during that time, let's be honest, we kind of had a love-hate relationship, and stuff. And so I didn't know how to approach you either, I guess. And with anything, I think is age. Now it'd be a totally different story of how I kind of, present myself, how I do business and everything else. But I just didn't know. So I just was like, okay, maybe she'll call me and tell me. I don't know, like, what's going on. Like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. And I apologize.
Well, here's the thing. So, long story short as I can make it, here's the story that I've told ever since then till not that long ago. I already had issues with Batista. He once was my friend. No, I never slept with him. Nothing like that. It makes me so mad. You and him are the two people I get accused of hooking up with. That it's like, dude, get over it. I never hooked up with Kevin Thorn or Batista ever.
Yep,
So, anyways, long story short, we're having issues. And so Mania weekend or Mania week, I had my sister come in. I felt so cool because she's in high school. So her big sister that's on TV is flying her in for WrestleMania,
Oh, yeah.
And so if you remember, I don't know if you remember, but where the WrestleMania hotel was where we all stayed at, they had a certain elevator that they had us use so that the fans couldn't get access to us if we left the hotel or whatever. And so I was
Detroit.
I want to say maybe Detroit. It wasn't Orlando.
Yeah. Okay. So it's Detroit. Okay.
So I had just felt so awesome because I went to a mall with my sister and I was able to buy her what she wanted because I had a little money and going to WrestleMania, the whole 9 yards. And so at that point, I'd already had some little issues with Dave, and I was in the elevator and it was me, Dave. Oh, who was the third person? There was another wrestler there with his family. And so I was like, dude, this is so awkward because I knew that me and my sister had to get off that floor first. And I was like, what do I say? Do I say bye to, I was like, I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone. Have a nice night, whatever. And so when I got off, I was like, okay, everyone, have a good night. As the doors were closing, Dave went, douchebag. And so I was like, why? Why do you got to do this in front of people? Like, it's one thing if we're at the at work, you want to be a dick, fine. But come on, we're all here with our families, whatever.
Yeah.
So then I go to work. Johnny Ace pulls me aside because prior to that, he had pulled me aside and I was in a room with him and Dave. He's like, I can't have two talents not get along. So what's going on? And at that point, I was like, can you tell me, Dave, what your problem with me is? Because he stopped shaking my hand. He wouldn't acknowledge me. So I didn't know what to do as the newbie. I'm low on the card, right? And I'm a woman. So I don't know what to do when I go to try to not get heat and shake his hand, but he won't shake my hand back. It's awkward for everyone, whatever. Me and Dave were in this room. I was like, can you tell me, Dave? And then everything he said kind of didn't make sense and he stormed out.
Yeah.
And like a little bitch, I got emotional and I was like, I thought we were friends. And I start crying. And Johnny Ace was like, look, just go up to him, shake his hand at work.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I tried and then he still wouldn't do it. So I'm like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So what am I supposed to do? I don't want to get in trouble. Right.
Yep.
So we kept having these little incidences backstage. Like there was one time in catering, he shook everyone's hand except me. So I waited for him to be far enough. I said, "Hi, Dave. I don't know if you saw me, but didn't want to like get any heat. Hi." So I was being a little bitch like that, right? So then at the Mania, that's when Johnny Ace was like, "So what's going on with you and Dave?" And I told him just that. And I told him about the elevator situation. And he was like, "Look, I'm just going to tell him I told you to stay away from him. Just stay away from him." And I was like, thank you. Thank you. Like, thank you. So I stayed away from him, whatever. And then that day where Ozzy's band was there, if you remember, Ozzy's band was there. And Ozzy's band stayed after Ozzy left because they were so about the vampire characters and wanted to see our act that they stayed. So Dave is chit-chatting with, and I'm going to mute this name. And I'm like, oh, shit's going down. And so Dave, we're backstage. You were next up in line to go for a match. So we're going to go on live. We're waiting. We're back. We're, the monitor's there, whatever. And he goes, "Hey, Shelly, last I checked in catering, that was none of your business. So why don't you mind your own fucking business?" And I looked at him and I thought, I have an action figure coming out. I went to WrestleMania. I guess I'll get fired today. And I said, last I checked, you weren't even in catering. So why don't you mind your own fucking business? And so it was like high school. Everyone was like, like a movie.
Oh, yeah.
And so he comes in my face and he's like, "F you, you're nothing in this business. You don't put asses in seats." But to me, right when he said that, I was like, Ozzy's band stayed because I do put asses in seats. So that gave me the confidence that I needed. And I said, I really don't give a shit what you think of me.
Yeah.
And so he got his middle finger and was pushing it in my face. And I wanted him to hit me because I was like, I will come after you, bitch. Hit me. And so he was like,
where the fuck was I during that?
Standing right there.
No, I wasn't.
You were there. Listen. Okay. So maybe at that point, maybe at that part, I didn't know you were right there. Okay. If you were there or not. So this is my vision. Okay. So he's pushing me down. I slap his middle finger out of my face and I said, "F you. A real man would have pulled me aside and chewed me out. Instead, you want to pop the boys? Like I said, I don't give a shit what you think of me." Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh," and he stormed off. And I remember CM Punk and Cliff Compton were right there. And I'm thinking, you and I are about to go live. I need hairspray. So I go to run to Jan, the makeup hair lady, to go get hairspray. And Punk thinks I'm going after Dave. So he grabs me. He's like, "Shelly, no." And I'm like, I need hairspray. I need hairspray. Then Johnny Ace comes out and he goes, "What happened with Dave?" And that's when I saw you. That's when I remember seeing you and you were standing right there. And then next to Dave. And then I told him what happened. He goes, "Did that happen?" And Dave goes, "I don't remember, but now it is." He goes, "Did you flip her off?" That's what he said. And he flipped me off. And so when he did that, you and Dave walked away. And I was so butthurt because I felt like you took his side and you left me to go be over with Dave and leave me by myself. And then Johnny Ace.
I was telling him to calm down and everything else. And I apologize.
No. Here's the thing.
Don't remember that. But yeah, I probably was trying to tell him, "Hey, breathe." I don't know.
So then Johnny Ace goes, I'm thinking because he knows the situation, right? He told me to leave him alone. And then he goes, "How dare you talk to top male talent that way?" And I said, "Look, I don't care who you are. If you disrespect me, I'm going to stick up for myself. So can I go out there and do my job? And then we could talk about this later." And then you and I went out there. You were wrestling Nunzio. And I remember there was a little tiny chant of people saying Ariel because, the boys loved me. And I knew in my gut that was my last time. So instead of doing something to make them boo me, I was eating it up for a second because I was like, this is it. This is it. And then when you won and I went to celebrate with you, there's a time I put my head down and it's because I'm about to cry because I know I'm going to get fired. And so I go backstage and then Matt Hardy was right there. And then he was like, "Don't worry about it. It's fine." I go, "No, dude, I feel I'm going to get fired." And he was like, No. And then 2 days later, Johnny Ace called me and he said that creative had nothing for me. And so I started to laugh. He goes, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Because I'm in the intro. I know what that means." Because I was always told if you're in the intro of the show, you're one of the stars. So I go, I know what this is about. And then he goes, well, keep in touch because you never know. And I said, if this is how you treat your people, then I don't want any part of this. So thank you for the opportunity. And I hung up on him.
Yeah.
So fast forward, that was the story. And so it wasn't until when I was doing my TMI show with Chad, our friend Chad,
Yeah.
we were talking about it. And he goes, why did, and this is one of the things I said, something I didn't realize until just a few months ago. Okay. So this is how long ago? Just a few months ago. I saw a video clip where Melina got interviewed and they brought up me getting in a fight with Batista. So, of course, this interviewer misquoted me and asked Melina about it. And she goes, it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with something in catering. Now, in catering, I'm gonna edit this part out. So when Melina said this on this video where she's like, it had to do with this thing in catering, it had nothing to, I was thinking, what is she talking about? Like, that was such a little part of the day. But then when I marinated on it more, I thought, shit.
Yep.
It wasn't any of my business.
Yep.
Batista was right. And going back to what I told you earlier, I was brought up old school in the business.
Yep.
What's the number one rule? You respect your vet.
Yeah,
I totally disrespected my vet. I don't care if that looks bad to people that like whatever. I lived and breathed the Carney code. And so I thought in saying that, I was also always taught, just go to the person. Go to the person, don't gossip. So I thought I was honoring the Carney code by going to or being toe to toe with Dave.
Yep.
But there could have been a better way, going back to what you're saying about Mordecai, that I could have handled it where I could have still not let myself get punked out, but I could have been professional.
Yep.
And I was not professional. And now hearing your Mordecai story and how you said you feel that Vince lost his trust, you lost Vince's trust, he's probably thinking, well, shit, now his freaking vampire bimbo over here is like starting shit, because I don't know if you know this, but prior to that, I told off Shawn Michaels and I told off Randy Orton. So Batista was the last nail in the coffin. Yeah. So Vince was probably like, first Mordecai over here, and then I can't even whatever. And now he can't, like, the girl, get her out. And I'm not even saying that Vince made the call, but he probably was like, yeah, get her out. And it's so crazy because when I was sharing without some of the details that I'm going to edit out with Chad, he said, yeah, but it's I forget how he said it, but it was pretty much saying it was kind of disheartening that no one pulled Dave away and was like, hey man, whatever. And then it clicked. And I said, shit, all these years, I always remembered Kevin there. And I didn't know if he was like on Dave's side, but now I'm realizing, like you just said, he was the one that stepped in. He went and took Dave away from me because he knew, and it blew my mind. And this was just last week that I came to this conclusion. And so you have no apologies to say. I want to say thank you for being the only one who stepped in when there could have been other locker room leaders or people like that could have been like, hey, no. And then like whatever. And then on top of that, the one thing I'll always be salty about is, how come I didn't get to go to Wrestler's Court over it at least? Why? Because I was like you, and now looked at as a loose cannon, just get rid of her. And so now hearing those details of the Mordecai era for you makes so much sense to how things were handled with me, because damn it, Kevin, we're one and the same in a lot of ways.
Yep. Oh no, absolutely.
Shit.
And I mean, I do. I think, I can't. I don't know why I can't remember all the details, but yeah. I mean, I looking at that and really kind of hearing it and everything else. I mean, I knew Dave well enough to take him away, I think, from the situation. So, because if you guys, and I knew you, like, if you guys would have just still stood there face to face, you probably would have hit him. And then that was even worse. So let's be honest. So
it's true. You're right.
It probably was best that I was like, hey man, just let's go walk and you can bitch to me as we're walking. That stuff. So yeah.
Well, one of the things I said on the TMI was, throughout the years, up until last week, that is something that has haunted me, and it's always made me so hurt to think that you just left me there and didn't care. But
Yeah.
in my gut, I always felt like there's more to the story. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. And so now that all the pieces have come together, I'm like, dude. And so even though different things, whatever, you were there for me, Kevin. And I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So I'll blow your mind even more on that. So that was Baltimore that they were at. And then I ended up, my last time with WWE, when they gave me my 90 days, was a week after Baltimore for myself. I think a year later. So Baltimore was not good to us.
F you, Baltimore.
No, actually, Baltimore's been really great because that's where Dalton was seen by my son, for RMU to get a college scholarship. So Baltimore kind of gave me some grace back, I guess, eventually. But yes, that same arena was where I basically went into the office. I was like, "You guys got nothing for me. This is all fucking sucks. I just want my release." And stuff like an idiot. So maybe it's something in the Baltimore water for us, for sure.
You know what, though, on that note, Baltimore, maybe it's not a bad thing. Baltimore's there to give us lessons.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Lessons. Because one of the things that I didn't realize until this past summer, is I was chatting with one of my secret society members, and they were bringing up how they loved at that moment how on my Twitter I was really putting over the knockouts division I was a part of and stuff like that in TNA.
Yep.
And so we chit-chatted about it, and it blew my mind. I was like, dude, if I stayed in WWE, I would have never been a part of that knockouts division at that time. And for me personally, what I signed up for in wrestling was experiencing moments like that. And it's like I had to sacrifice Ariel so that I can experience Selena's.
Yep.
And even though I was still so butthurt and like a sad Arbor Mist girl during that time,
Oh yeah.
that was what I wanted out of wrestling.
Yep.
Even though it doesn't seem so glamorous, and it's a lot of people. So I always tell people, don't get upset like that, whatever. And I was upset over it for a long time. Because I didn't understand all the pieces. I just was not even thinking to put pieces together. But over the years, when I hear certain things or it just comes together, I'm just like, oh my gosh, now I see the big picture. And that big picture was I was only supposed to be in WWE for that season.
Yep.
And even though it brought a lot of hardship, I wouldn't be sitting here right now in the life I have, just like you, in the life you have, doing your real estate stuff, which is so freaking awesome. So how did that transition happen?
What, into real estate?
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, the bar I was running and working at and everything else, and still doing trying to do indies on the side and stuff like that. There for a while, the indies were, you get booked, or they cancel you the last minute, or they do that, all this stuff. And I mean, at that time, now I had 2 kids and stuff. Katie had a insurance business, that we bought into, was doing well with that, but it was like, to me, working in a smoky bar till 3:00 in the morning, and everything else was just like, I was at that state too, where I was realizing that alcohol was getting control of my life again, stuff like that. So, there were several realtors that would come into the bar, and we're always like, man, you'd be great at this. You could sell houses all day long, all this stuff. And I was like, all right, well, I'll try this out. So, 8 years ago, I went and got my license and stuff. And it was like, all right, I need to do something, and stuff. And, as I was going through it, they were always talking about, all right, work your niche. What's your niche? What's something better than anything? I was like, well, fuck, I know the wrestling business, and stuff. And a lot of my mentors in this business were like, you really need to like embrace all the wrestler stuff. And one day I was just like, Cena's doing all his stuff. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. And I was like, how about the champ is home, and stuff, and I can use a championship belt and that I got made, and stuff, and start taking that to closings, and stuff, and and talk about the champ is home, because for me, like, if you're you buy a house, that's kind of your arena. That's Madison Square Garden for you. That's whatever, Ford Field for WrestleMania, all those types of things. And you're the main event because, I mean, your name's on the marquee, let's be honest, and stuff. So it just kind of went hand in hand, and it was just something fun to play with. And it really transpired, into something I was really comfortable with, and I could, use to my benefit. And it really took off, and it's still to this day taking off. I mean, I'm top of my market here in Indianapolis, and just having fun, and stuff, and still being, the same guy. I'll have probably, as I like to call them, the Frosted Flake wrestling fans, basically they're wrestling fans, but in the old Frosted Flake commercial with Tony the Tiger, they're in the dark, saying how much they love Frosted Flakes but don't want to be out there, and that's what I started discovering is, I mean, everybody has some sort of connection to wrestling, which is crazy. I used to watch that with my grandma. I don't watch it now, but and you could start telling stories, or they'd start talking. It was just a really easy avenue to open people up, get them loose, and get them to know, trust, like me, and that's what the coolest part of it has been through that. And I never would have had that experience without wrestling, and kind of learning that, and having those stories, of WWE, and hey, this guy, yeah, I actually wrestled that guy, and it just kept opening up doors, and it's just been great.
I love that. As soon as I started to see your post, like with the belt and everything, I just like the photos that you post. The people look excited, like the whole energy of the photo. And now hearing the breakdown of it, it makes so much sense. It's so freaking cute. I just freaking love it. Like,
yeah, I have a blast with all my clients. I mean, pretty much every client I have becomes like a really, really good friend, and stuff. It's awesome. I mean, and it's always fun. Like, I'll have some clients that are huge wrestling fans that'll just call me, and they're like, what do you think about this on Monday night? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't watch it, but I guess I can give you my perspective of it and stuff. And I mean, it's just fun. It just gives me a different, avenue to go about it. And it's been great.
and it's funny because I've learned to just accept everything in life always goes back to wrestling. It's just everything.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
everything.
Like the real estate business, you've got the over guys, you've got the mid card realtors, and then you've got the jobbers and stuff, and then and then the over guys are working the mid card guys, and the jobbers are just the job. It's so funny because it's you get some of these bigwig realtors and stuff, and they act like they're Ric Flair, and stuff, and they're you should be kissing the ring and stuff. It's just it's funny sometimes, and I'm like, you don't understand. I work for a maniacal billionaire. I was on the road with all these different entities, 31 flavors of fucking crazy, and you think you're working me right now? Get the fuck out of here. I just start laughing sometimes. I'm like, I'm so in the wrestling business, but not in the wrestling business.
And then you have the wannabes, because there's here in town in LA, it seems like if you were a person of yesteryear, model, actor, actress, you just go into real estate.
Oh yeah,
That's just,
absolutely.
and then like, who knows if they're even selling anything? They got their little picture though.
Oh yeah. There's and that's the hilarious part about in real estate is there is a ton of people that have, I mean, unbelievable social medias. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you're like, this person must sell a gazillion houses a month. Oh my God. And then there's apps that we can look at what they actually sell. And I'm like, oh shit, they're terrible. Or you're in a deal with them and they look like they're so professional and everything else. And then you start working with them and you're like, oh my God, this guy doesn't know a top wrist lock from a wristwatch. I mean, it's like, you're just like, what the fuck is going on? So it's all the same. I mean, but the world is the wrestling business in a weird sort of way. It just, it just, circles back around.
I like to think that the wrestling world helped give us the tools to survive and thrive in this world.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at because I'm not scared of, I'm not scared of anything. I mean, it's like I tell, so many of my clients and stuff, I was in front of, over 96,000 people at WrestleMania in fucking yoga pants. You think I care? And that's why they're always like, oh, I can't believe you wore that. You wore that turkey costume for Thanksgiving. You did this for that. I'm like, this is just how I've lived my life for so long. Like, I don't care. I mean, hell, for the longest time I wore briefs, in the ring. I mean, I'm wearing underwear in front of people. Like, it's like, it's not that big a deal. So it makes it fun.
Totally. And something I forgot, just to back up a little bit, I totally forgot to bring up. Now hearing more in depth and like one-on-one about your Mordecai situation, it makes so much more sense to me now why you fought so hard to get your job back. Because that's when I was at OVW. It was like about a year or so. And I know when we were on Rip Rogers, when he interviewed you, we talked about it a little bit, how people used to make fun of you saying, oh, here comes freaking Kevin Seven trying to get his job back. And but you didn't care. You didn't care about what people were saying. You didn't care they're making fun of you. I feel like there's been even times I heard you like even acknowledging the joke, like, oh yeah, well, what else am I, like you went along with it kind of vibes. But again, the narrative was always that you were being a drunken asshole, lost your job, trying to get your job back. But OM to the G, Kevin, like it means so much more now understanding why you fought so hard, got your damn job back. And I want to tell you, watching you try to get your job back with WWE when I was in OVW, I've carried that over to my personal life, to current times when like I want something or I feel like something, I know it's what I'm supposed to be doing. I have to think of you and how hard because here's the thing. I didn't see you coming to OVW kissing ass and politicking. You were showing up, making yourself seen. Like it wasn't this slimy, like, I'm just going to get a bit like, and so now hearing that you knew that you you effed up, like whatever, like you wanted a second chance. And then I went and blew your second chance. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, just to me, I mean, I've always, been driven, and it was, how many times can they, if they tell me no, are they going to tell me no again tomorrow? And it was always like, all right, let's try again tomorrow. Let's, everything else. I mean, hell, I think who had it the worst was probably Tommy Dreamer. Cause I mean, dude, I called that number so many effing times, or his number so many effing times, to the point where I think he was just like, you gotta stop. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And, he finally calls, he goes, in Tommy voice, like well, Kevin, they want to do on sci-fi, the ECW and have sci-fi characters. It's going to be the shits. But you think you could be a vampire? Yeah, fucking Tommy, I can. Like, I would have been the fucking janitor to get my job back. So it was just, anything I could do to reprove myself. That was the only focus there, because when they kind of first released me, they're like, hey, we got to get away from you for a while and everything else, after the Mordecai thing, Johnny's like, well, you should go to Japan, you'd be over in Japan, you could do this, and then it was like, but I have OVW in my backyard still. Why am I going here, there, and everywhere when I can drive up there, show up, and and prove myself every day, and stuff. And it was just it just made sense, I guess, to just keep showing up, and eventually, hopefully they're going to tell me yes. But nobody ever told me to go fuck myself and quit the business. So
yeah, exactly.
I just kept showing up,
Well, I asked my secret society if they had any questions for you, so I have a couple, and one of them is from Sarah, and it kind of goes with the vibe of what you're talking about. She wanted to know, because she knows my side of the story, but she wanted to know how the duo, you and me, came about as far as your side. So you're saying that you kept stalking Dreamer because you wanted your job back, and then he just called you with the sci-fi deal, and then did you get signed after that, or like how did that all work?
You know what? I think I was up there with you guys for the first 2 or 3 weeks and still didn't have a contract, and stuff. I got signed probably a couple weeks into ECW. I think too, they weren't sure that Vince was going to put the stamp on me yet, and stuff. So, I mean, luckily, I had, because I didn't have a whole shit ton of money at that time, but I still had a little money from Mordecai, but not a whole lot, because it all went to old boy. But I had a couple cool things to try to piece together some stuff. I mean, I went and, got my hair dyed black, everything else. But I mean, originally for me, it was told that it was me, you, and Gangrel, and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's going to be awesome. And I mean, I, still remember kind of going in there and, like, all right, where's Dave at? And stuff. And, I saw your promo with doing the tarot card reading stuff, and then it kind of, I guess, just transpired there. Like, all right, you put you two together. And I was like, I still thought she was going to manage me and Dave, but okay, I guess Dave will come eventually. And I think, we did a great job together of really getting over and presenting a package. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Katie hated your fucking guts for, like the first couple of weeks. Like, I think when we went out to the Nunzio thing, and, me and you were acting all, sexually attracted to each other and everything else and stuff. And I think you bit my finger or something like that. And I remember getting home and it was just like, you're going to fucking die. Like,
I don't blame her.
No, but it was all part of the act and stuff. And it's like, I told her, I was like, look, I mean, as soon as we get done with everything we just did, like, she walks her way, storms off, and I walk my way and go to the locker room. Like, it's like, whatever, and stuff, and it was just like, okay. And then I think, it got signed. I still haven't really got a check from them yet. But I think once the check started going in, that's when Katie started going, well, you guys could do this together now, because now I started seeing that it was actually paying off.
God bless Katie.
Which is hilarious. And I mean, I think that's the thing is, I saw you in SoCal Val, I think, talking about, oh, everybody always thought that me and you were hooking up and everything else. Nobody, I honestly, nobody knew, like, literally, me and you'd get together, just like stare at each other, fucking hate each other, and then just go out there, and it was like some sort of weird, like, just chemistry. And then as soon as we walked through the curtain, it was like, oh, that was great, fuck you, all right, see you.
Exactly. It's so freaking funny. I remember one time in catering, I was yelling at you and Big Show was sitting there. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
I was like talking, I was like, blah, 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 Kevin. I was so mad at you about something I don't even remember. I just remember Big Show was like,
oh yeah. And then I think we had like a promo together, me and you, and I wanted to punch you in the face. You probably wanted to punch me in the face, everything else. And Big Show was in there changing, and it was in that locker room or whatever else. And we're doing our thing, and we're like so fucking sexual and everything else. And then all of a sudden they're like, all right, good enough. And you're just like, oh, fuck, thank God. And just fucking storm off. And I turn around and look at him, and he's like, I don't know to be turned on or something. Like he's like, how do you deal with that? I'm like, dude, brother, I'm just here and I'm just trying to do my fucking job. Like I swear to fucking God, I don't know. Like it's like she's a whole ball of aggression and I don't know, but it works. So I'm just gonna fucking deal with it and run with it and I like go home and everything else. And, and I remember so many guys were like, oh, I know you guys. I'm like, the fuck we are. I want to fucking punch her. I don't want to fuck like, oh my God, no. Like, I mean, yeah, she's hot as shit, but fuck, I just want to punch her.
Oh my gosh.
It's like and stuff. And it was just like, well, okay, and and honestly, I think it made it that much better. Because when we did go out there, it was just like, just pin up fucking, I hate you, in a good way, right. and stuff. And it just worked. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There was one time I was actually thinking about ribbing you. I was gonna eat a whole bunch of sardines before the match. And I made sure my breath actually fucking, smelled like shit. And I mean, it was to the point where I forget who I was talking to about it, saying, hey, I'm about to, and they didn't want me to do it because they knew that they were going to have to breathe with me the whole time. I was like, man, I really think it's a great idea. Like, really, I think I'll really get her on this one because you're all up and close. We're all up and close. And I'm like, no, this time I'm not brushing my fucking teeth. I'm not going to chew gum. I'm not going to eat a minute. I'm literally going to fucking eat dog food if I have to, just to fuck with her.
I love that story.
And stuff, and it was, it was like, pulling you in and everything else, it's like, I think Michael Hayes one time was like, God, you guys are just so sexual out there. You might want to calm it down. I'm like, dude, this isn't sexual. This is me wanting to punch her, but I can't. Like, that's why I'm grabbing her so fucking hard and jerking her fucking around because I'm like, oh.
So Hayes told you that? Because here's the thing. Maybe you think I'm stupid for saying this. I literally, Kevin, did not realize how sexual we looked, in particular me, until like a couple years ago. I didn't realize. I didn't realize because I don't know if you know this, but like I never watched our stuff back. Because to me, I always looked at wrestling, and maybe this isn't like technically correct, but I always looked at it as I know what I did wrong, so I don't need to watch it. It's like done, on to the next. Like I'm always thinking of the next show, next performance. So I didn't watch our stuff back, and then a couple years ago, because of fans sending me stuff and like reviewing things, I was like, no wonder my family would not put over like that I was like this, because I would thought, oh, I made it, and and it's like, dude, I look at me and you.
I still remember Hayes. They came to a house show or something, and I forget what it was, but you were still doing like the drop down right in front of me and like whatever, and he's like, yeah, we're going more PG. You guys are gonna have to cut that the fuck out, and stuff. And but then on the reverse side, you heard how much Kevin Dunn loved it. So it was just like, okay, who are we impressing here? Who, as long as they're loving it, I don't know, and stuff. So it was, it just worked. And the best part about it is everybody believed it. Everybody thought, me and you were having these, romper room sessions every night after whatever. And and really and truly, we were like, yeah, fuck you. All right, see you tomorrow. And stuff.
I have to ask you, do you remember the night where I gave Joey Styles the infamous lap dance?
Oh yeah.
Because here's the thing. This is how I remember it. I remember Tony Gurria possibly Dean Malenko and one other person came up to me right before we went out, and they told me to rib Joey.
Oh yeah.
And I was always about a good rib. And I was like, okay. But again, I didn't realize how sexual I was being, because to me, I was literally being the part. I knew the assignment, just like you did. We
Yep.
knew the assignment
Yeah, I
and
knew the
and we knew how to do it well. And so to me, I just didn't see it like this big deal. And then when years and years go by and people are like, oh, this Joey style, I was like, so what? It was a rib. And
Yeah.
then when I started to look at it, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you were in there just like, yeah, and instructing me. And like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like you're my pimp or something.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you remember who it was? Because I know for sure Tony Gurria. I think Dean Malenko, and I feel there's a third party.
Oh, it had to have been Dean. Dean for sure.
I love Dean Malenko. Oh.
Man, I don't. Yeah, I don't remember.
You did get asked if we banged then. It wasn't just me, people were asking.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay. I just didn't know, because sometimes, with the women, we get more of the flack. So sometimes we'll get more crap than the guys would. So I always wondered, I was always curious if you heard, did you ever hear, I don't know if you're aware of this, maybe you are. The boys were trying to start drama between me and Candice Michelle. Did you know about that?
No.
What they would do is and now I understand it, because she was another person that when she performs, she's effortlessly oozes sex. Like she's very believable, seems very comfortable in her skin, and knows the deal. I love Candice Michelle, by the way.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So I remember there was the boys, and they would try it once you and I started like doing our thing for a while, and we kind of crafted it even better, and we were doing really good. They would try to like, oh, well, whose boobs do you think are better, yours or Candice Michelle? That's how it started. And then so they started, and then they would get me to try to talk crap about her, and they'd be like, and then when they would try to compare me to Candice Michelle, they were looking for me to be like, ugh, whatever. But I'd go, oh, you're comparing me to Candice? She's so pretty. She's so nice. And then they'd be like, and so they kept, and then they gave up because they saw that I genuinely was like, I love Candice Michelle. So I just wondered if you ever caught wind of that. No.
Maybe.
Because it was the boys. It wasn't girls doing it. No women on the roster were doing that. It was the boys that were trying to start shit between me and Candice.
Oh yeah. We were the last of that. During Mordecai, I saw a lot more in the locker rooms. We were kind of in that last, kind of era. And now, I don't know if they have the drama that we did then, but yeah, I think it was always like, all right, as long as you can survive the weekend, or if you start off the weekend with heat, you normally didn't end the weekend with heat or end the week with heat, because it would, let's start shit over here. And then all of a sudden they get bored with whatever they were tormenting this person with. And then it'd come to this, and you'd always try not to end the week with the heat.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, oh, this will pass and stuff. It's, it was always something.
So here's the thing. When I first got signed to OVW, Tommy Dreamer told me that I was only going to be there for a few weeks, and then I was going to go to the main roster with you, Gangrel, and Jimmy Wang Yang, and we were going to be the New Brood. Yep. And then you got released, and that was after like your thing. So it's interesting, because why was that told to me then? But they were going to push you to be Mordecai. So I'm very confused on that thing, because Mordecai was a whole entity of itself. Like it was headed places, brother. Sorry you had to whore yourself out with me, but Mordecai was a main event thing. And so there was that, because I remember it being told to me that way, because then a year later, you and I ended up being vampires almost. It was in I want to say July, I feel, because in that June, that's when I was the tarot card reader. And I remember when I was at OVW, Dreamer was like, you're going to be a tarot card reader, and then you're going to get bitten, and you're going to be a vampire. And I was like, what? This is crazy, because the full circle. So do you know anything about that storyline?
No, I never knew anything about that at the end. No.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and stuff, which, I don't doubt it for a minute, but yeah, I think they were so pissed off at me towards the end. And I mean, I had so many guys pulling for me and stuff, but I think, at the end of the day, it was just Vince going, man, we just can't trust him
Right.
and stuff. So yeah. But no, that would have been cool as shit because Jimmy Wayne could have done all kind of crazy stuff. Me and Gangrel we tag all the time now. I see him all the time. I mean, he's one of my best friends on earth. I mean, we would have had a great time, and then you would have made it that much better. So, I mean, it would have been awesome.
I hate when I see this story and people are like, Jimmy Wang Yang. And I'm like, you don't see it? I totally see it. Like, I totally see it and him killing it. And people always want to, maybe it's because they already know Gangrel is Gangrel. Duh, he's legend. And then they already are familiar with you killing it is Kevin Thorn. And the Mordecai character, even though it's not a vampire, it's still kind of like that dark vibes, whatever. So you can do it. But like, Jimmy Wang Yang, I think people that question it, they're limiting what because like I see it made sense to me. It made sense to me when I was told it. I was like, hell yeah, I could totally see him being that vampire.
Yeah, he would have been awesome at it. He was so good.
Oh my gosh, I know
He still is, but yeah.
So I have another question from Care Corn, and he says, if you had a third chance to go back to WWE, which character would it be, Mordecai or Thorn?
Probably Mordecai, only because I didn't get to do it the way I wanted to do it. I mean, it's really 50-50 because if we could have gone back and kept going, I think it would have been awesome. And I think Mordecai could have been awesome. The biggest problem is I think I was still too young when I was Mordecai because I was 28. Like I just wasn't ready for it. As good as I could have been, like at 30, like 35, 36. I think, business wise, chilling out wise, life wise, I think I would have been really good at it. And then too, like, costume wise and stuff like that, nobody ever understands that, half that stuff we had to buy and everything else. And I mean, I think there could have been a lot more added to it to make it better. And I think I would have fought more for some things. Like to me, like that, the robe the Mordecai wore was the dumbest thing ever. It never should have been that. I did like, more of a gothic style white robe on the indies for a while that I thought was 10 times better. And I think it should have been more of like a priest from the future than it was a priest like from the past. Like when I see Ghost, the singer, the group Ghost and stuff, I think there could have been so much cool stuff with that. Not necessarily the face paint, but there could have been some really cool, like robes, stuff like that. Now the instruments was cool as could be. The music too, I liked it. Some people liked it. I think, if you would have mixed that with Kevin Thorne instruments music, it would have been so much cooler. And stuff. And there were different ways to do it. The original thing was, and something happened where it got kiboshed, but the original Mordecai promos, it was all with all the candles and stuff like that, which was really cool. But the original promos and the thing that I pitched to the office was I was going to be in a Catholic confessional. And I was going to be on the other side, and you were only, it was going to be that, whatever that material is that you can talk through and everything else, and the wood and all this stuff. And they actually had found one in New York that we could go beat up, and they ended up stopping it some way. But it was going to be, someone's in the confessional and they're confessing. You only see my shadow in the thing, and then all of a sudden I punch through the confessional and I grab them and I pull them through. And those were going to be some of the vignettes leading into it. And it would have been 10 times more over. And I mean, also too with like Mordecai is, everybody's like, oh, you're only up there for 3 or 4 months and blah, blah, blah. And it's a failure. If it was such a failure, I mean, people are still talking about it to this day. Hell, I had a fan send me a shirt that they had just made a couple weeks ago that was the Mordecai stuff, and they live and breathe all things Mordecai. So if it sucks so bad, I mean, we're almost 20 years later now. I think 22. Nobody be talking about it, and they're still talking about it. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. So I mean, it obviously was something special. It just didn't get the time that it could have. But I think with some different, hindsight always being 2020 is looking back at it going, if I would have done this different, if I would have done this different, the biggest thing too is, I was, almost 315 pounds as Mordecai, and I was way too heavy, muscled up, because I just couldn't breathe in the ring. And prior to that, me and Tomko were tagging, and we had tagged for 6 or 7 months on the road with WWE. So I was used to tag team wrestling. I wasn't used to singles wrestling. So my wind wasn't there for some stuff. The fucked up part is my best match was with, probably Rey Mysterio. And I'd finally figured out my wind, and then I was done. So, it was like, they're like, oh, well, they gave me the excuse that I just wasn't cutting it, and they whatever else. And then I got told years later that the lawsuit just really just pissed them off. They were getting sued, whatever else, and it was just easier just to wash my wash their hands and send me away. But they gave me the excuse of you weren't competing in the ring right, you weren't doing this right, you weren't doing that right. It was like, yeah, actually I was, and you guys loved it every time except for, and then on the Rey Mysterio match, I remember, they're starting to break down stuff. JR comes out, and JR stops me and grabs me, and JR's like, I want you to know, that's the best fucking match you've had. That right there is going to make us money. And I was like, well, thanks, JR. But Johnny just told me an hour ago that they were sending me back to OVW for a while because they don't feel like I have it yet. And he was just like, okay. And I probably should have fought harder to stay and everything else, and maybe gone to Vince and had that conversation. But at that time, I was a young, dumb kid, so I didn't know how to fight for myself. So when they're like, oh, you're going back to OVW for 6-7 months, and they did, they sent me back to OVW. I mean, paid me ridiculous. They put me on a big boy deal, and I'm down there making a boatload of money sitting at OVW, but I should have fought for it, to stay. And I just didn't, because, I thought I let everybody down so bad because of that, and nobody could trust me.
Yeah, I get that. It just like everything's just making so much sense now. And I'm so grateful for this interview and getting to know these different layers and piecing it all together. And I just I'm tripping over here because I'm like, I can't get over how much I relate to you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe the details are different, but the energy's one and the same. And that was just our fate, and being the damn vampires together, and life bringing us together for that short time. And like you with the Batista thing and handling things like that, and the whole thing where I ruined our act. Same thing. It was like, I was young. Like, when I look back, it's like, I just was too young and inexperienced in big deal things, like I'm living my childhood dream job.
Yeah.
And now I'm not handling it correctly because I don't know what the F I'm doing.
Yep.
It's a trip. And then it's like, I understand why you don't have that closure with Mordecai, because that's how I feel with Ariel. I don't have that closure. It's all my own fault. I didn't mean it to be my fault. I didn't mean to do all these things. Just like everything I'm hearing from you with the Mordecai, it was just young, inexperienced. You finally are getting this chance. Just like with the bar thing, you thought you were doing the right thing and not like trying to step away, blah blah blah, and it just makes so much sense. And I'm glad that here on Vampire Radio we're all able to get the details out there.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you, and this is from Andrew, My Secret Society. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Oh, I mean, if you really look at how I've wrestled and how I was always ridiculed in the back for being a taker mark, the Undertaker for sure. I loved all the dark stuff. I mean, I really loved Gangrel and the Brood. But I mean, I think growing up, it was definitely I was always drawn to the Undertaker. Sid trained me. I was really a huge fan of Sid just because he's just a monstrous beast of a person and stuff, and to be around him. But yeah, I think for the most part it was that Undertaker gimmick. Being a little Baptist boy growing up in the church and everything else like that. I don't know. It's just kind of drawn to that that dark character and stuff. Big fan of Jake Roberts too, the promos and stuff like that. I think, were really, really cool. So, I mean, those were always, kind of my go-tos.
You were a Baptist boy?
Oh yeah. Southern Baptist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was in the church doors every time the church opened, it seemed like. And then here I am being a vampire and everything else.
And Mordecai.
Yeah.
It's so funny because, I mean, to this day, like my whole thing is my most important relationship is my relationship with God. And it's always been that way. And I grew up in church, but my church I grew up in was like the very, no offense, but culty, Christian-y kind of church. So a lot of fear-based and all this. So you saying, of course, you were drawn to these things. Like me, the same thing. It's like the forbidden that you're not supposed to know about. So of course you want to know more.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, absolutely. It's a forbidden fruit that you just wanted to grab.
Yep. All right. Well, before we end things here, what do you got going on now besides your real estate? You're still wrestling, right?
Here and there. I mean, pretty much everything I do is I always want to know who else is on the card, stuff like that. I wrestle for a great promotion in Charleston, Old School Championship Wrestling. They've been so good to me. Joe and Mary Sue are the promoters down there. It's actually going to be their 20th year in March 8th. So I'm going to go down there and wrestle. Me and Gangrel tag down there, and I mean we've been together there attached to the hip for like the last 5 years, and it's been great. We stay at their house. I mean, they're just so good to us, and they're part of the family and stuff. It's funny because they're 20 years in the business, and I think they were one of the first places I worked out as being on the getting released and having to take Mordecai on the road, because that was the only name value I had at the time. So I wrestled for them in Charleston, I mean almost 20 years ago, and I mean they brought me back pretty much every year, 2 or 3 times a year for a while. There was a stint that I ran away from wrestling for about 3 or 4 years in there, that I wasn't going there, but as soon as I kind of came back, they literally got a hold of me, and I just kept going back. And I mean, they're great. And then wrestled for Dave Hero up in Milwaukee. Wrestled for another guy, Ryan Cross, up in Kenosha. For me, it's just it's knowing somebody, trusting them, knowing what's going on, stuff like that. I still love to do it. I just, for me, it takes away a weekend of business that I could be making a lot of money showing houses and getting buyers and listings and stuff like that. And I'm really, really active with my kids' sports. In my son's senior year this year, lacrosse. He's going to go play at RMU next year, just outside of Pittsburgh, Robert Morris University, for lacrosse. Super proud of him. My daughter is a freshman this year and is playing lacrosse, and she's she's kicking ass and stuff. And I don't want to miss those games either. So like part of me always wants to be on the road because it's just the way we are. But part of me really, really just loves, being here and now being comfortable being dad, and going and seeing my kids' dreams go. And that's part of the reason why sometimes I look back at my wrestling career and I'm like, you know what, I probably would have missed this because, there was some guys a while back who, and I won't name their names because I don't want to think that I'm shaming them or anything else like that, but they've been on the road forever and they've both got a couple kids and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't go last week because I sure as fuck don't want to miss the game or whatever else of my son. And they're like, we might have seen 3 games my entire kid's high school career. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. That would drive me batshit crazy. But that's how they make their money. So I'm, really, really proud of, the real estate business that I've, started and I'm able to, really take care of my family, and be present here. But I do love going out and, being a part of shows, stuff like that. But I like the, the shows that, I could go see some people have a good time with, and stuff like that. And then especially now, with sobriety and stuff, I want to make sure that I'm in a safe environment. I don't want to go to a locker room where, everybody's just getting shit cans, stuff like that. So kind of pick and choose on that now too.
Yeah, I totally get that. And extra positive vibes to you because not talking crap about other people because everybody has their own story, but a lot of wrestlers don't know how to be in the real world,
Yep.
and
it's tough. There should be
it is.
I would love to go down to Tampa or Orlando or wherever NXT is now and teach a class about, what, there's so many in here that could make it, but there's so many of you that aren't going to make it. And let me go ahead and tell you the reality of when you figure out that now you're out here on in the real, real world and stuff like that. And what life really is, to have to be a part of, because my drug, your drug of choice, let's be honest, is the lights of an arena and stuff. And I mean, it's just a huge part of our lives. And the thing is, I refer to it as like chasing the dragon, because there's no greater high than walking out that curtain and stuff. And I mean, and when you don't have that anymore, it's like, oh fuck. And that, that's a huge reason. What I've discovered is why I turn so much to alcohol is I could turn off the voices or turn off that noise that just says, I need to walk through a curtain. Hell, I should actually, now that I keep talking about it, I should put a curtain on my office door here.
Yeah.
But I just pop through every time. Take off the door, just put a really nice like velvet curtain, like real position there and stuff. And then,
some lights.
Some lights, a smoke machine, and then play my music. And then I think I'd be ready for every fucking day there ever was, just because of that. But yeah, those are the cool things, of this life. I mean, so many out there are trying to do it. I mean, you look at all the wrestlers that are out there. I mean, outlaw shows, indie, all the stuff out there that will never get to where we got, and stuff. And I mean, we got such a gift that we get to sit here and talk about it, and we should be proud. We are proud of that, proud of that as far as that goes. But it's really something that, you got to sit there and go, man, probably there's, if we put it on a spectrum, there's probably 100,000, out there that were like us during our time here of that we could actually do this. And we're the chosen 500-600 that actually fucking did it. That's pretty fucking impressive.
1,000 zillion bajillion %. It's funny because sometime last year, I caught a commercial or something about WWE. And when it was one of those, like, maybe there's a pay-per-view or something, I don't know, but it was like this package. And one of the voiceovers for one of the female wrestlers that were on this package was, there's no other feeling like being a WWE superstar.
Yep.
And I looked at freaking Metal Jesus and I said, you know what? It's freaking true, dude.
It's so true.
It is. It really is. All these years later, like I'm thinking this life's behind me, blah, blah, blah. But it just took I think we were might have even been somewhere where it was on a TV, because I don't remember it being at home, but it was just a thing that had happened in the back. And I was like, dude, that is really the truth. There is no other feeling. And we did it.
Yep.
You messed up your career. I messed up our career.
Yes and no. I mean, I think we can't look at it as we messed up. I mean, we with my belief in God, your belief in God, and everything else like that is, you got to look at it as God's always had the wheel, so He brought us to this point.
1000%. I just say it to be fun, but it's true, because one of the things that I've thought of throughout the years is, I mentioned to you earlier when we're talking privately, I've been with Metal Jesus for almost 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
If anything would have taken me off of the path of meeting him when I did,
Yep.
I don't want it. I don't care if it would have made me famous. I don't care if whatever, it would have changed everything in my life that I have right this second. And maybe some people think it's boring or whatever, but to me, it's everything.
Oh, yeah.
And so I say it playfully. You know what? It's maybe I messed it up. Yeah. I messed our gig up, but I didn't ruin our lives. No, I just messed up what we had.
That was just part of the journey.
It was part of the journey. I was supposed to mess it up, whatever. Yeah. All right. Well, before I let you go, can you tell everyone where they can follow you so they can keep up with your shenanigans over there?
Yeah. It's at the Kevin Furtick Instagram, Kevin Furtick Realty Facebook, Twitter. I think is the Kevin Furtick. Everything's the Kevin Furtick. I think because I'm arrogant piece of shit that likes to say the. Is what I realized. I'm like, why did I put the? But yeah, so I am the Kevin Furtick. There's any more out there, who knows?
I bet you there's fakes of you. You're
is.
The Kevin.
Yeah,
I want the Kevin Furtick. Yeah. You go here. These are the fakes.
Yeah, I'm arrogant Ohio State University. I'm the Ohio State University. I'm the Kevin Furtick. So yeah, no. And then if they're in Indianapolis and they're looking for a house, I've got thechambishome.com. Website if they want to look at houses and stuff like that. And other than that, I'm pretty not hard to find because it seems like a lot of people find me and randomly call me sometimes. The one thing I will say is I know my phone number is out there. Please don't call me unless you want a house. I love you, but there's no need to text me in the middle of the night. I really loved your match versus so-and-so. That's great. I do love you, but you don't.
So would you rather be Mordecai or Kevin?
Yeah, trust me. I've gotten it because I with my business, I can't not have my phone number out there and stuff. And there's times I'll get random calls. I'm just like, Does your mommy know you're on the phone right now? Let's stop. Calm down. So yeah. Anyway.
Well, I want to thank you from the bottom of my vampire heart for being my guest on your freaking birthday. I hope you have an awesome rest of your birthday. And I look forward to continuing to see what your future holds.
All right. Hey, you're the tarot card reader. Hopefully you tell me.
Now, another clip that I accidentally deleted, there was 3 of them, was right after I had just done the interview with Kevin. And I was talking about, about 30 minutes ago, I just got done recording with him. I'm super in a weird place. Not in a weird place in a bad way. Just retaining a lot of information, and having some closure with some things, all that stuff. And then Sunday, I recorded a new TMI with Chad. And so that opened up a whole bunch of things. So that's why I'm just out of my damn mind. I'm just trying to do my best. Like on Spaceballs. Sorry, sir, I'm trying my best. Anyways, let's Shelly McFly back in some time, back to Saturday now. So I'm still navigating through all the feelings, thoughts, and emotions. But the bottom line is, I can't speak for Kevin, but I know that I totally needed to come together with him today and have a conversation and to have some blanks filled in. But more than that, it was to just come together with somebody who I created something that was so, I don't even know what the word is. Magical, nostalgic, rememberable, however you want to say it. I don't even know what the word is just yet. But I know today was just totally and I think it's so effing cool that it's on Kevin Thorn's freaking birthday. Well, I just lost one of my lights. It died. So there you have it. I think it's time to call it a day and tap on out. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you loved today's show. I hope you were able to have that fly on the wall experience because that's what I was aiming for. Make sure, if you're not already, to subscribe here to the Monty and the Pharaoh channel and, of course, to Shelly Martinez channel on YouTube. And until next week, I am Shelly from Cali. She is Minnie the Moocher. He is Jack Martinez. And we'll be smelling you guys later. Adios. Hurry back. Hurry back, and remember to bring your death certificates. Hurry back, hurry back.
You a little bit nervous today?
Feel great.